Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Krishna Shiva Creations. In this series of illuminating text, I will guide you through the complete process of measurement system analysis. Complete course shall be covered and published in 4 phases. Till now, we have covered the first 2 phases, that is MSA definition and MSA parameters. Till the last video, we have covered the MSA tools and method for the variable data. In this video, we will start with the MSA tools for the attribute data. If you have not watched the previous videos, links are given in the below description. Please have a look. So let's get started with the MSA tools and methods for the variable data. As we have seen in the last video, there are 4 MSA tools for the attribute data: the signal detection, the kappa method, the visual inspection study, and the gauge performance curve. But among these, the first 2 caters most of the requirements for study of the attribute data and to interpret the measurement system and reduce the measurement system variation. So in this course, we will go through and understand the procedures, how to conduct the signal detection and kappa method, what are the interpretations, and what are the guidelines that we need to follow to get the best out of it. Before jumping to the MSA tools for the attributes, let us do a quick recap for the attribute MSA. How are they bifurcated? The first of all, there are MSA for the gauges that we design, that we use for checking the variable parameters, which we can check variably in variable parameters, but we have some gauges like snap gauge, limit gauge, or in-house design gauges to convert those variable parameters to attribute parameters for the ease of measurement. For studying just such kind of instrument, we use a method which is known as signal detection method. Now, beside this, there are methods for studying the parameters which we cannot measure, like the qualitative parameter that we have seen also. Now, for these parameters, we like parameters like crack, leakage, fouling, dent in any rust. So, for all these parameters, for all these observable, perceivable parameters which are not measurable, we use a method called kappa method. Now here we are used to count, the number of OK and not OK on the basis of the judgment. So we will study these 2 basic, tools, that is the signal detection and the kappa method. Now for the signal detection method, we need to first select the gauge for which we need to perform the study, like the limit gauge, snap gauge, plug gauge, and 50 samples, for which we should define the complete process, and there should be 20% of defective parts also that should be within that. And we need to select 3 appraisers who are actually doing the measurement, and after that we need to decide the parameter for which we will do that. Then we have to measure and record the reference value of all parts. Since we have discussed, these are the parameters in which we convert the variable to the attribute by using the gauges. So we need to check the parameters using the reference instrument and collect the reference value. And then first appraiser need to measure all 50 samples. After that, similarly as in the previous MSA methods we have seen, second appraiser need to measure all the 50 samples, and then the third, and this needs to be repeated for 3 times, for 3 trials, and ultimately we will end up with 450 readings. After that, we need to observe the readings as 1 for good or okay, and 0 for bad or not okay. So 1 should indicate the good and okay part, and 0 should be indicating the bad and not okay parts, and then we have to calculate the values that will come up, and how to interpret that also we will understand in the coming slides. Now how do we need to calculate? First of all, we need to consider all the readings row wise. Okay, for each appraiser there are 3 readings, so there will be 9 rows of data for each part, and we have to consider that, and we have to give a code if all the signs in a particular row are having similar, like only one, then we have to give plus sign. If it has only 0, then we have to indicate that, code it as minus. And if it is mixed, that some appraiser has called it good, other has called it bad, then if it is a mix, then we have to indicate it using the cross sign. After that, we have to arrange all the reference values and the codes in a descending order. Okay, that has to be arranged in a descending order using the reference value that we have measured and the codes. After that, we have to indicate the top zone. Okay, the last negative sign over the cross sign and corresponding reference value need to be noted. Then we have to indicate the first positive sign below the cross sign and take the corresponding reference value. Now with these two reference value, we calculate the top weight, the difference. Okay, if the first value is 4.5 and the second value is 4.0, then the top weight will be 4.5 minus 4.0, that is 0.5. Similarly, we have to calculate the bottom weight. We have to take the bottom zone and take the reference value of the plus sign over the cross sign and the reference value of the minus sign below the cross sign. And these two readings, again its difference will give us the bottom weight. Now using the bottom weight and the top weight, we calculate the average weight, which is bottom weight plus top weight divided by 2. After this, we calculate the GRR. How it is? The tolerance, as we know, it is the difference of USL minus LSL, USL minus LSL, and percentage RNR is given by average weight by tolerance into 100. So this is how we calculate the GRR value. Now how to interpret, what are the results, what are the actions? Let us see. Now let us understand how to interpret the RNR value that we have calculated. For the RNR value for signal detection, if the RNR value is less than 10%, then the measurement system is called to be acceptable. If it is within 10 to 30%, then it is conditionally accepted. Okay, and if it is more than 30, then the RNR is unacceptable. That is, the measurement system needs major improvement. And there are some cases wherein the good part, when it is called good, and the bad part, when it is called bad, it is the right decision, as we can clearly understand, and the measurement system is called to be effective. Okay, and if the bad part is called as good, bad is called as good, then such cases are termed as mis-alert and is also known as consumer's risk, indicated by the symbol of beta. Why consumer risk? Because if a bad part is called as good, that means any rejected part is getting passed away to the customer, and it is at the risk of the customer who is using that rejected part. So it is called the consumer's risk. On the contrary, when the good part is called as bad part, it is termed as the false alarm and is also known as producer's risk, or the denoted by the alpha symbol. Producer's risk, because in this case some good part are getting rejected as due to misjudgment of the appraisers. So this is called as manufacturer's risk or producer's risk. Now again, there are some set of guidelines which we need to follow for the signal detection, so that we can get the effective outcome of the study. The selected sample should be USL of 25%, LSL of 25%, and within acceptable limit 50%. The distribution of the selected samples, that is the 50 samples that we are selecting, should be distributed in this fashion. This will give a better result for the study. Appraisers should be those who are doing the actual measurements in the production line. This we have understood in the previous tools also. Measurement should be done in the random manner. This is also a continuation. Sample numbering and noted reading should not be visible to the appraiser. This is also a repetition of the previous tools, and selected gauge or instrument should be actually used for the measurement or production samples. Those are not gauges which are kept specially for the MSA study. Those should be the actual gauges. And lastly, measurement should be done in the same or regular method that we are doing for the inspection of the production parts. Now we have completed the signal detection. Let us move to the second tool, that is the CAPA method of the cross tabulation. For that we have to again select 50 samples, which should consist of 20% of the defective parts, and we have to select 3 appraisers who will conduct the study. After that we have to decide the parameters on which we will perform the study and record the reference value of all the parts. For this we need some skilled operator or the master who are the benchmark for the detecting the defects of the parts. After that, the first appraiser needs to measure the 50 samples, then comes the second appraiser who measures the 50 samples, and then the third appraiser measures the 50 samples in random fashion. Now these steps, these 1, 2, 3 steps should be repeated for 3 times, that is 3 trials, which will ultimately lead to 450 readings. Now these readings we have to observe, record in 0 and 1 fashion. Similar to the signal detection, 1 should detect the good or okay part and 0 should detect the bad and not okay part. After this, we have to calculate the value as per table we will see in the coming slide and interpret the results. That also we are going to cover in the coming slides. Let us understand the calculation part now for the CAPA method. First of all, there are 3 appraisers, okay, A, B and C. Now for each appraiser there are 3 trials that we did, and each column will be named as A1, A2 and A3. For A, for B it will be B1, B2, B3, and for C similarly it will be C1, C2, C3. So each row will have 9 data. Now we have to do the counting. After naming the columns, we have to do the counting, like A1 equal to 1, B1 equal to 1. This is for interpreting the agreement between A and B. So A1 equal to 1, B1 equal to 1, we will count. Then A2 equal to 1, B2 equal to 1, we will count. Then A3 equal to 1, B3 equal to 1, we will count. Now we will add these 3 values to get the total. After this, we have to calculate as per the CAPA. We will see in the coming slide. There is a table that needs to be designed, and table needs to be designed for all these cases. For A with respect to B, and B with respect to C, and C with respect to A, and also A with respect to reference that we have taken from the master or the skilled operator, B with respect to reference, and C with respect to reference. After doing all this, we have to compute the final value. Now for CAPA, this kind of table we have to design. Okay, this shows a table for A and B, wherein this is the A, the good count, the bad count. For B, the good count, the bad count. This is the total, this is the total. Then we will calculate the expected count. Let's go step by step. So first of all, from the previous slide, the counting that we did, we will write it here. The AG, BG means A good, B good, A1 good, B1 good, A2 good, B2 good, A3 good, B3. This we will indicate with the variable K1. Similarly for this, A1 good, B1 bad, A2 good, B2 bad, and A3 good, B3 bad. This will indicate as K2. Similarly K3 and K4 we will write. After that we will sum up this T1. T1 will be K1 plus K2, the horizontal summation. Then T2 is K3 plus K4, and then the vertical is T3, K1 plus K3, and similarly T4, that is K2 plus K4. And the T5 will be T1 plus T2, or T3 plus T4. This T5 will be fixed. It will be 150 since we are having 50 samples and 3 trials. So this will be 150. After doing all this, we have to calculate the expected count, which is given by this formula T1 into T3 by T5. So T1 into T3 divided by T5. So this gives the E1. Then E2 is T2 into T4 by T5. T2 into T4 by T5. And finally the E3, that is T5 into T5 divided by T5, that is T5. Okay, that is 150. Then we populate all the table with the similar fashion. This will given by T1 into T4 by T5. T1 into T4 divided by T5. T1 into T5 by T5, that is T1. So similarly we have to calculate as per this step. Now after doing this, see here it is mentioned AG is number of trials in which A tells good and AB is number of trials in which A tells bad. This is the indicators. After calculating all this, we have to calculate the kappa. Now how to calculate kappa? First of all, we have to calculate the PO, that is sum of the observed proportion. PO for A and B is K1 plus K4 by T5. So K1 then K4 divided by T5. This will give us the observed proportion. Then PE, that is the expected proportion for A and B, is E1 plus E2 by E3. This is the E1 plus E2 divided by E3. This will give us the expected proportion. Now we have to calculate the kappa, which is P0 minus PE divided by 1 minus PE. So kappa will be given by this formula. We have to calculate it. Now this is for A and B. Now similar table needs to be drawn and calculations need to be done for B and C, C and A with respect to difference, B with respect to difference, and C with respect to difference. And after that, let us see what are the interpretations, what are the acceptance criteria of this kappa value. So we have understood how to do the calculations for the kappa or the cross tabulation method. Now let us see what are the interpretations of the value, kappa value that we have calculated, how we should accept that, and what are the acceptance criteria. First of all, if the kappa is more than 90%, then only the measurement system is said to be acceptable. If it is between 80 to 90%, then measurement system is called conditionally accepted. In that case, small minor changes or maintenance or repair or training of the appraiser is required. And if the kappa value is found to be less than 80%, then in that case measurement system is said to be not acceptable and the appraiser requires improvement. Their procedure for his inspection needs to be revisited. Now after this, there are two important parameters that we need to calculate, is the miss rate. Now acceptance of miss rate is 2%. 2% is the maximum that we can accept for the miss rate. Now what is the miss rate? We have defined it in earlier also. It is a consumer's risk and it is calculated from the table with respect to reference. The table that we have created in the last slide is A with respect to B. Now when we are creating the table for A with respect to reference, from that we have to calculate the miss rate. So miss rate will be calculated using this formula, where number of decisions where bad or 0 will be called good or 1. We have to count that, where the number of cases for appraiser A, suppose he has gave the decision for the bad part as a good part, divided by total number of decisions of wherein the appraiser A has called the bad. Okay, suppose in this case, if the total number of decisions wherein the bad part is called as good part is suppose 5, and total number of the summation of that column, okay, wherein the total number of times the appraiser has called the part as bad, suppose it is 50, so our miss rate would be 5 divided by 50. Similarly, for the false alarm, the maximum acceptable limit is 5%. So false alarm, as we have discussed, it is the producer's risk, and it is also calculated from the table with respect to reference. So alpha is given by number of decisions where good is called as bad. Okay, we have to count that again from the table, and then it will be divided by number of decisions wherein the appraiser has called parts as good. So this fraction will be calculated as false alarm. So miss rate and false alarm is a very important factor and parameters that need to be calculated, and in this basis we can judge which appraiser needs to be trained on which parameters. Now there are again set of guidelines that need to be followed for the kappa method. The selected parts or sample should represent the expected range of process variation and must contain at least 20% of the defective parts. This needs to be ensured while selecting the samples, 50 samples. Appraiser should be those who do the measurement. Actually, inspection should be done in random manner. Sampling number and the noted observation should not be visible to the appraisers. These we all have discussed in the previous studies also. The reference should be a decision made by the experienced or master for the 50 samples that we have discussed, and decision of each appraiser shall be compared between each appraiser and also with respect to the reference decision. So with this, these are the guidelines. With this we complete the kappa method. Thanks a lot for watching. With this we complete the third phase. We have discussed all the MSA tools and methods for both attribute and variable data. If you have any queries or any doubts, you please mention in the comments. I will be very happy to help you out. In the next phase, in the phase 4, I will be coming up with the MSA plan and execution for the fourth phase. If you have liked watching the video, please hit the like button. That makes a difference. And what makes more difference is when you hit that subscribe button. Yes, thank you very much. Please hit the notification bell to get notified about my upcoming videos. See you in the next video. Till then, keep smiling and take care.